Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Rants on the Ruling Class. I'm Todd, and this is my co-host Bill. We're back again. I just want to open up talking a little bit about the debate, Republican debate, which I think is an absolute joke. But the one thing I think that to take away from that is, and I think I saw that Tucker's interview with Trump is up to 261 million views now, I believe. And if everybody that watched that stayed and watched all 48 or 49 minutes of it, there's a lot of education laid out to 261 million people in an hour for that whole thing. So to me, it's good. But I'm telling you, the the debates, all the people that are thrown out in front of us to, I believe, distract us from Donald Trump. They're throwing shiny objects in front of us, and I think we talked a little bit about Vivek last week, Ramaswamy. To me, that's kind of. I know you and I land a little bit different on Vivek, and you probably have a little more information on why you stand the way you do than I do. Mine's just a gut reaction, a gut feeling that I get from the guy. I don't trust him, but to me, Donald Trump's the one that got us here, right?
Mhm.
He's the one that's exposing all the crap that's going on in our country, exposing the deep state, exposing the world leaders that are trying to take over America to see the demise of America. He's the one that is opening everybody's eyes to the insanity that is going on. To me, he's the only one that can be president to move us forward. We cannot go back to the way things used to be. I've heard some of my friends say, I wish Trump would just get out of the way so things would go back to normal. Well, what is your normal? You want them just stealing our money, taxing us to death, and doing all the crooked things they're doing, and sending money all over the world to everybody, and not worrying about America first. That's not normal to me. That's wrong. And Donald Trump is the only guy in my book that's going to continue to expose that. So, in a nutshell, you could say I'm dancing with the one that brought me Vivek, shiny, smart, articulate, whatever you want to call him. He's not the man for the job. Donald Trump's the man for the job. And I think a lot of people are under the misnomer if Trump would get out of the way, things would just be better and to go back to that's what they want. They want Trump out of the way. And if you're a conservative saying, I wish he'd just go away, you're playing right into their plan, and that's exactly what they want done.
Well, let me retranslate that, reset what that really means. Someone saying that what they really mean is the rest of, as far as they're concerned, the rest of the country can go to hell. Everybody else can have their house taken away, can have their rights taken away, have their guns taken away, can have to wear masks, can be have their health uh, injured. Everyone else can have all that happen to them as long as you'll just leave me alone.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
that's really what those people are saying. Don't bother me. Don't bother me. And until it comes from me, I'm not going to pay any attention. Well, when you put it that way, it's kind of silly, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
so if you want to protect yourself, you need to be proactive now. And that's why this movement it continues to grow and grow because people are starting to really understand that and wake up to that concept. And we've talked many times, we get it. People have been fat and happy, paying
Yeah.
attention to families and careers and everything else. But that's a false premise. We can't do that anymore. That's not where we're at. As a matter of fact, Todd, I'm going to throw a couple things at you. I didn't do this in pre-show prep, so I'm hitting you cold on this. But
Sure.
I got a couple ideas on T-shirts we ought to sell.
God.
One is we can handle the truth. I think that ought to be a theme. We can handle the truth.
Yeah,
Instead,
I like it.
I just we could build all around that because really the attitude of the elitist, as we've talked about, is the American people. Oh, they can't handle the truth. We've got to protect them from themselves and everything else. And no, I just want to put it out there. We can handle the truth.
I like it.
So I like that. And the other one is a shirt. It's only got two dates on it. It's got 1776 and 2024.
Two revolutions.
I might go to jail on that one. I don't know, but
Well,
um,
that's a good point. But I think we talked a little bit about this being the rev. I believe we're on the verge of a revolution because uh, I think this last indictment and arrest of Trump is going to backfire so bad
it already is.
for what they wanted. I think I've seen a lot of videos and a lot of black people coming out being more vocal about their support for Trump.
First of
And
all, just before we go there, let me just say this. You're talking about backfiring.
yeah,
Trump had his single biggest 24-hour donation revenue raising 24-hour period in
I didn't know
his
that.
history. Yeah. They raised over 4.6, I believe it's $4.6 million within the 24 hours after he was arraigned and the mugshot was released. And today, and as of today, that had climbed to 7.4 million. So yeah,
Wow.
just broke all kinds of fundraising records. So yeah, it backfired. If you just look at fundraising alone, it backfired in a huge way. But you're right, it's backfiring in other ways also.
Well, I think it's backfiring because especially in, I think with the black community, the inner city black communities in our country have been, uh, I don't know, victimized is the right word, but they're a result of Democratic leadership, and they have
Mm-hmm.
been uh, put in the position they're in because of Democratic leadership. And they're starting to see that what they're doing to Donald Trump, the only bridge that they've got to cross over is what they're doing to Donald Trump is exactly what they've done to them and their family members in the inner cities. And it's game over because if we get to 20% black support for Donald Trump in this country, there's no way they can cheat enough to even come close to winning the election.
Well, some polls are saying we're already there. So yeah, depending on who you believe, right? The polls that I tend to trust are either at 20 or close to that. And but here's the interesting thought. We had a kind of an interesting conversation about this issue because you're right. A lot of the people in the black community, they're relating to the fact they can easily see that Trump is being persecuted. I
Yeah,
mean, it's obvious to everybody. It's just so obvious to everybody. And of course, there's a lot of blacks out there that feel like they've been persecuted, that they've led a persecuted life, and or
and
that
some
their race
justly
is
so.
persecuted in some
Yeah,
justification in certain situations, which I want to address. But my point is this: when I was growing up, that was a generation where whether you go all the way back to the hippie movement, to the civil rights movement, whatever, but the young people in this country were standing up to the man. That's what we called the establishment, the man. Give the finger to the man, stand up to the man. And that's what this black demographic is seeing and talking about because they're seeing the man come after Donald Trump, just like they feel the man has been coming after them. Now,
yeah,
and so that's a great advantage for us, and it's a great thing. And I don't want to discourage that. There's still another piece to that puzzle that needs to get added, in my opinion, before we see a truly historic revolutionary change in the demographics. Because the black community and specifically black leaders, they need to go one step further and connect the dots between the man just being the establishment and persecuting them and people like Trump, and to realizing that the man are the Democrat leadership
yes,
of the big cities, because that type of persecution they're talking about, that used to exist in the deep south, and that's what's always talked about and the Democrats still try to claim it's true today, but that hasn't been true since the 60s and 70s in the deep south, in the rural areas of the deep south. Truly it hasn't. Where it is predominantly true, where persecution can still exist, racially motivated persecution can still exist, is in the big cities that are run by Democrats.
yes,
And you can even talk about it. You can have passing, well, some of it's justified, some of it's that neighborhood's own fault, right? I mean, you can go into all these different things. It's high crime areas, whatever. But my point is, if you want to look at persecution as described by the black community, primarily 90, 95, 99% of it in today's America, if it exists in the big cities, in the Democrat hellholes that have been
yeah.
created by Democrat policies. And that's the final piece
That's the
that
bridge.
that's the bridge, the final bridge
Yeah,
the black community needs to make to understand, to have the aha moment and to wake up to what's really going on here. But I think the persecution of Trump is taking him right up to the edge, right up
yeah,
to the edge of that realization. And so you're right. It's going to be incredibly interesting to see. Now, I want to back up half a step also, because you talked about Vivek and, dancing with the one that brought you and all this kind of stuff. Right. I mixed my metaphors there. Riding the horse that brought you. Is that it? Or whatever it
oh,
is.
dance
Okay.
with the one that brought you.
Dance
Yeah,
with the one that brought you. Okay. Is that good?
yeah,
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I totally agree with you. And nobody that I know of is seriously proposing that Vivek should be the candidate in lieu of Trump or over Trump, because Trump, you said Trump is exposing the deep state, the administrative state,
he's
the
the best
establishment,
at it.
uniparty, all that. But Todd, in my opinion, respectfully, it goes so much further than that. He's not just exposing him. He is literally calling them out. He is literally drawing them out. He is literally causing them to leave their shelters, leave their camouflage, leave their cover and go crazy and go nuts.
Yeah.
He is literally making them the enemy of the people. Now they always have been. Maybe we should say he's waking up the people that they are the enemy. So it's more than exposing. It's shining a spotlight. It's highlighting. It is just absolutely putting the fear of God into these people. And this is why we have all the freakouts right now. They will do anything and everything to keep Trump out of office.
Yeah, and people are starting to see that. I mean, look at everything they've done to this man. I mean, they anybody that cannot see the stuff that they've done to Donald Trump and his family is for one reason, and that is because they do not want him running for president. They want him out of the way because he's the one stopping, slowing down. He's got a kink in their plans, and he's the only one that is capable. He's not bought and paid for. He's got his own money. He can put together a unbelievably talented and effective legal team. He doesn't need the help of. He doesn't need any of the other politicians to get done what he's wanting to get done. He's doing it on his own. He doesn't need them, and they don't like that. You know, they have no control or no power over him. He's
Right.
independent of their thought. He's independent of their money. He's independent of their ideas, and they don't like that because they have no control over it. And
right, but it goes further than that because he's not just the fact that he's independent. You're right, that drives him mad.
yes,
But what really scorches the seat of their pants is that he's doing it pretty much altruistically. He's not doing it for self-aggrandizement or self-enrichment. They could understand that. But
right.
one of the reasons they think he's an idiot, one of the reasons they think he's just stupid or a rube or whatever is because, I mean, literally, this is how warped it is. They could understand it if the guy was doing to enrich himself, if he was doing it to grab power or whatever. They'd probably
Like the
even
Bidens,
admire it. Yeah,
like the Bidens are doing.
they probably even admire it. Say, man, this guy, he doesn't need us. It doesn't need anybody. Look what he's able to accomplish. They probably admire that. But the fact that he's doing it for we the people, it just, they can't comprehend that. They just
Right.
really, really, really have a huge challenge with that. So, sorry, I didn't mean to get you off track there, but
Oh, that's fine.
they are, yeah, you're right. They'll do anything and everything to keep him out of office.
Well, they're all in on taking him out, and he's all in on saving America. So that's where the two fronts are coming together, and it really is. And we've said this for several years that we were in a war for our country. When I think the war in our country is being fought in the minds of the American people, and we're starting to win that war finally. I think we're starting to make inroads where people are finally starting to wake up and say, "Man, I had no idea. I had no idea this was going on."
Well,
You
the
know?
links they're going to again are a big part of that, and that's part of, you know, whether it's out of brilliance or whether it's just kind of happened that way. Trump, you're right, has driven them to do insane things. I read just today, I think it was, that we have rhinos in two different states. In the state of New Hampshire, is it the Secretary of State in the state of New Hampshire, or is it the governor? I think it's the governor of the state of New Hampshire, Secretary of State in the state of Florida, or I don't know if it's Secretary of State in Florida. I take that back, but it is an attorney, at least in Florida, are suing to make sure that Trump cannot be on the ballot. Now, these are Republicans, to make sure that Trump cannot be on the ballot in New Hampshire and in Florida. And Todd, they're using the 14th Amendment as a supposed justification of this. And you've heard a lot of
Let's talk about that. Let's talk
okay.
about the 14th Amendment.
Well, you've heard a lot of the liberals and a lot of the globalists and a lot of the rhinos out there talking about the 14th Amendment and everything else. And, you know, they try to, this is why they wanted to make January 6th such a big deal. They wanted to claim January 6th was an insurrection. This is the whole strategy behind all of that, is the 14th Amendment, because the 14th Amendment was passed after the Civil War. And you hear Alan Dershowitz, by the way, who's not a Trump voter, not a Trump supporter.
Right.
He's a great legal mind, but he's liberal all the way through. But he's been someone that he defended Trump in one of the impeachment trials. He is. I don't agree with his politics, but the guy's got integrity. Okay, and he stands up and he calls this for what it is. It's just a bunch of bull. And he goes, because the 14th Amendment was passed after the Civil War. Its purpose was to prevent Confederate officers and politicians that had seceded from the United States and created rebellion from running for public office again. Which you
Not
can
what we're dealing with now.
no, you can, I mean, you can understand why they would want that then, but
Sure.
it wasn't designed to carry into the future. Well, here's the thing, that's what they're doing. They're saying that because Trump incited an insurrection on January 6th, he is ineligible now via the 14th Amendment to ever hold public office again. Now, there's a couple of things about this that are just so absurd. One, I just mentioned that that amendment was never intended for future situations. It was only about the Civil War. But even if you forget that part of it for a moment, here's the thing. Trump has not been charged with insurrection.
Right.
So how can a constitutional amendment that bars people that have committed insurrection from running for office apply? Well, this is where you really got to get your brain wrapped around their twisted logic, because what they're saying is that, well, the Constitution supersedes it. It's apart from impeachment. So even though Donald Trump was impeached for that and was not convicted, exonerated, basically, now it doesn't count. And even though that in a criminal court, he's never been convicted of that, oh, that doesn't count either, because this has to do with the Constitution. So we can just say that constitutionally he's ineligible. Now,
They just do it. They do that's what they do all the time. They find something to fit the narrative to what they want to get done, and then they try and make a law fit what they want to get done. Has no bearing or not even any correlation to what they're wanting to do. It doesn't matter to them though. They don't care.
have you ever, and this is not new in history, have you ever heard the term Jabberwocky?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a kind of a literary term. There's some famous author, I don't remember who it was that first came up with it. But Jabberwocky means nonsense, literally. You can go to the dictionary and look it up. It'll tell you, it usually has a one-word definition, nonsense. And I was telling you earlier, I was going to share this very quickly. I won't draw it out like I did. But way back in when I was in college, I learned everything I ever needed to know in school, right? But we were sitting around a fraternity house, and yeah, I was in a frat, but we'd want to impress the girls, right? So you'd have some sorority girls come over, and one of the ways back then that was popular, at least in my neck of the woods, was to try to act like we were experts at stuff that we knew nothing about. Try to act like we were real intellectual. And
Like
so
a politician.
well, I guess it'd be an analogy today, but we would go to absurd, we would be absurd with it. I mean, we would start throwing around terms. One of the easiest ways to do it is start throwing around language and terms that don't mean anything, that are nonsense, but do it in a way that sounds like it's really insightful and really deep and really meaningful and really intellectual. So off the top of my head, I don't know, something like, well, Todd, if you take the mean intersection of the demarcation point of the findings of last month's tertiary funding grants, and you really extrapolate that into the current demographics, and not forgetting to align it with the modern day index strata points, we can probably come up with an indicator of what's going to happen for future demarcation. And, I mean, just, what it means nothing. It means absolutely
Oh,
nothing.
that word salad. Kamala Harris is really good at word salad.
Well, I wish she was good at it. It would be at least respectable if she was good at it. She's terrible at it. But the point was, you did this. And here's the thing, though. This is exactly what these attorneys and leftists and globalists and rhinos are doing with the law right now. They're making up stuff.
Yeah.
They're making up word salad. They're making up Jabberwocky. And the thing is, everybody that just wants to convict Trump, they're going, yeah. Listen to that. Hear what he said. See how good it sounds. That must be real. It must be true. See, he knows what he's talking about there. And so they're all jumping on the boat because of a bunch of Jabberwocky, because it doesn't stand scrutiny. Alan Dershowitz, Turley, all these liberal attorneys that are great constitutional minds, they're like, this makes no sense. They're
Yeah.
literally, okay. But that is how desperate they are to go out there and fool the American people. Again, we need t-shirts. We can handle the truth. We really do. We need we need to wake up to this and start challenging people. Are you listening to the truth? Or are you listening to Jabberwocky?
You talk about the truth and this indictment. I seen today, I can't remember who was on somebody's Twitter account. that people that are on Jack Smith's team were in the White House a couple of weeks before the indictments were handed down in Georgia. So they think they were working hand in hand with the DOJ, Biden's DOJ, to get this done. And then Biden's arrested. And they're starting to make the correlation now. And they're doing it in broad daylight. They don't even care. You talk about Jabberwocky. They don't even try and hide it. They're scheming and doing it in broad daylight, right in front of our face and everybody else's face, because they think we're too dumb to see what's going on.
Yeah, you're talking about when Trump was arrested. Well,
yeah.
Newt Gingrich came out and said he has it on high authority. Wouldn't name the names because he's got a lot of contacts in government, as you can imagine, former Speaker of the House. And he said he has it on good authority that he trusts that Jack Smith was called out. He did not intend to file his criminal statutes, or what do you call it, indictment, as early as he did. But he got a call from the White House, directly from the White House, saying you will file this Monday. And that was right after the revelations about let's see, which revelations were these, but it was incriminating revelations. And he was told he had no choice.
I don't think the jury was even supposed to break till Tuesday, and they said they didn't care. It doesn't matter. You will indict on Monday.
That's right. That's exactly how all that happened. And so you're right. I mean, and this is supposed to be an independent counsel. Come on, nobody believes that.
No,
nobody believes it. So these are the things that are going on right now. We're living through a post-reality, post-truth. Someone said, is it Van? And somebody calls it a post-truth America, or post-constitutional America. Mark Levin calls it. Yeah, it is, and it's not going to change. It's not going to end until we end it. We the people. And that's why it's so important to keep on standing strong, to stay out there, keep our voices going. And it gets hard. I mean, I shared with you a story I read. It was either, I think it was today I read it. 11 days ago in Tennessee. Now imagine this. Imagine this. You're a mother of a veteran who's disabled, 100% disabled.
Oh, this is terrible. Yeah, this is terrible.
And there's some confusion on who owns the house, whether it's her house or his house. I think they were living together. I'm not 100% sure about that. But she's there, and this kid suffers from PTSD. He's got depression. He's going through counseling and everything else, but he's handling it. He's getting help, but he's 100% disabled. And the FBI shows up with this huge SWAT team before dawn raid, 6 a.m. Pounds on the door. She answers the door. They grab her, pull her out of the house, throw her in the back of a police car. She says, "Why are you raiding my house? What's going on?" They say, "It's none of your business."
None of your business.
Yeah, they proceed to break out all the windows on the front and sides of the house and toss in smoke grenades, flashbangs, and tear gas. Her son tries to make his way out of the house because it's full of tear gas, and they gun him down and kill him.
Was he armed?
According to his mother, he was not. But here's now this is 11 days later. The family says they have still received no explanation for the raid. And Todd, if we just stop the story right there, I might say, well, I mean, it's bad enough. It looks terrible. I mean, it's just there, right there, there's got to be more to the story, but I'm going to add one other thing to it that's just going to make you seethe. Besides Gateway Pundit, only a local news channel covered this. Nobody else has touched it. Nobody else has given it even. There's a total blackout on any news on this whatsoever, any place, anytime.
Yeah, what is going on in this country? This is the United States of America. Stuff's not supposed to go on like that in this country. No, seems to me there's a lot more there that he maybe knew something they didn't want getting out. We see a little bit of that going on.
You got to wonder, don't you? You got to, yeah, I mean, what the only thing we can know for sure is that what they're telling us isn't true. There's more to it. They're leaving stuff out. They're not telling us the whole truth. I mean, is it any wonder people are doubting the Maui fires? Is it any wonder?
Here's one for you. Have you heard anything on this? I heard a couple of blurbs on it. I've heard that there's upwards of 2,000 children missing from Lahaina.
And there's a report out like that. There's a report out like that. Yeah. The latest official numbers started at 380 yesterday, and I think they're down to 100 and some today. I think they finally released the names. of the missing, but I'm not sure it's just children. I think it was total people.
I heard
And
2,000 children are missing, is what I heard. And I'm
well,
going to dig more into that because I want to know. I want to know what's going on with that.
yeah, and I want to be cautionary on that because if I had my kids in the Lahaina school district with everything that's happened, I wouldn't send them back to the Lahaina school district. I'd be
Right.
either keeping them home, homeschooling, or I'd send them to neighboring areas or jurisdictions or whatever. So it could be there's 2,000 kids unaccounted for right now, which in and of itself is an indictment of the government out there.
Yeah, it is.
The fact that
Exactly.
they can't keep track of these kids, but it
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean they perished.
Right.
So we need to be a little bit careful
Just
about that.
unaccounted for. And that's
Yeah,
all I've heard.
well,
So,
right, but our whole point is why this is weeks later. Why is it we still don't know? Why did this happen in the first place? Why was that electric company spending so much money being woke and doing all the Green New Deal stuff instead of shoring up their power grid and doing safety precautions and all the things they're supposed to be doing? I mean, it's
right.
we pay a price for all this craziness. We pay a price. There's a reason we call the Green New Deal crazy
It
because
is.
there is a cost to it. It is crazy to pay the cost in human lives
Yes.
of what it costs to enact the Green New Deal. It's crazy. That's why we call it craziness.
It
Okay.
is crazy. And we
So
need to start calling stuff that is crazy, crazy. Needs to be more of that. It is crazy. COVID lockdown's coming back again. Crazy. All
they're
the way
trying to
this
do
is
it.
going to stop is when we've had enough and people say no. That's the only way it's going to stop. So,
I wonder, I was in, during the last lockdown and masking, I was in Kansas and went with some friends, went to, I don't know, it was a Home Depot or some type of outdoor garden center type of thing where you have the outdoor gates and everything and to walk into this huge, huge place, tons of people out there, a nice, beautiful weekend. And they still had mask mandates going on up there. And, I'm with my friends and they start pulling out their masks and I'm looking at them going, what are you doing? They go, well, we got to wear a mask to go in. I said, it's all outdoors. It's an open roof. So it doesn't make any difference. It's a business. We got to, but I said, okay, we'll have fun. And so I stopped kind of in the entrance there. And now this was Kansas. I don't know if it's Kansas or the Missouri side of Kansas City border, one or the other, but it's friendly people up that part of the world.
sure.
And so there's this guy kind of at that entrance there, and he sees me stop and them go in with their mask. He goes, hey, do you want me to grab you a mask? He's being a nice guy. And I said, no. I said, I'm from Texas. We still believe in freedom down there. And, that sounds, I don't know, maybe trite or rude or something, but you know what? That's what it's going to take.
It is.
Everybody's going to have to say, no, I stand for freedom. I'm a citizen of this country
Yes.
and I have my rights and I stand for freedom. I'm not going to do that. And,
Absolutely.
it has to be done. So, and you know what? There are a lot of people out there, including some politicians, which amaze me. They're encouraging people to resist like that. I've already started hearing that. We'll see if it keeps up. I hope so. But
Well, what's our other option? I mean, we're almost bordering on complete tyranny at this point. I mean,
we,
seriously.
you can roll over belly up and just like a dog submitting to his master, I guess. Bare
And
your
if I
throat.
hear anybody tell me to trust the science ever again in my life, they're going to get an earful. They're going to open a can that they wish they never would have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we have got to get back to our roots in this country and start standing up for our individual liberties and our individual freedoms and get out of the think tank.
If we don't do it in 2024, and I mean all up and down the ticket, I'm not talking about just the presidency. We got to get rid of the rhinos. So we've got to do it in the primaries. We've got to, I mean, if we don't really, really, really pay attention to this election cycle, Todd, this will be our last, I think this will be our last chance to do it peacefully.
I would agree.
So we either do it now peacefully, we either are all in now, we either have a peaceful revolution now, or our children are going to face having to pick up rifles.
Yeah. And, you got to stay involved locally, get involved some level. We have a lot of people, members of PRC that have been involved and
Mm-hmm.
doing different things, different boards, different political positions in the county and local governments. But we have to take all that back from the establishment. They got their fingers in every aspect of our lives, and we've got to start
Mm-hmm.
locally with our local control and get them out of that.
Yep. 1776,
right?
2024.
2024. Might be onto something. Maybe we got to do some of that, print those out. But
Hmm.
as I'm going to try and get, we've had another subject here, switching subjects on you, but I'm still reaching out to Dave Williams, who's the chair for the GOP for the state of Colorado. I'm still going to reach out to him and want him to come on, and maybe he can't come on and talk about it, but there's a lot of stuff coming to light that the Colorado Republican Party did to him, and before he took office, Christy Burton Brown and all her cronies.
Oh yeah.
And it's bad, and those people should be in jail. And they did everything they could to take all the money from the GOP, so it made it look like he couldn't raise money.
Yeah, but Christy Burton Brown's, for people who don't know, she's a Republican, but she's
Yeah.
a rhino. She's a globalist rhino,
Yes.
totally against MAGA, totally against America First, totally against Trump. It's she's the uniparty. She's the establishment uniparty through and through.
Yeah, the stuff that they were doing, they were stealing donors' money, and they were charging stuff after they were done with their office. It's like me being employed, and my employment is terminated, but I still take my company credit card 30 days later and charge a bunch of stuff on my credit card. That is fraud. That is theft. And that's what was
Thousands of
going
dollars.
on.
Yeah.
That's what was going on in the Colorado GOP. Colorado, I've said for a long time, is the tip of the spear, and it is in many, many aspects. And I'm going to keep trying to see if I can get Dave Williams to come back on. He might not be able to come and talk just because of legal reasons. I think they got a lot of legal stuff
A lot of
going
lawsuits
on
going
with
on
that.
right now.
So
Yeah.
he might have to be tight-lipped about it. But I'm going to keep reaching out to him, bugging him, see if I can get him to come on. So
Cool. Well, listen, my friend, I appreciate you. It's been an incredible week, and I think it's going to shape up to be another incredible week. We're kind of normally this is the doldrums of summer, but it doesn't quite feel that way.
It's like every day, what else can go on that, like, for lack of a better word, trumps what happened the day before. It's always something a little crazier, a little more absurd, a little more outrageous, but it's like you get numb to it after a while. You're just like shocked but never surprised. You know what I mean? So, well, I'll let you get out of here. I know you got a lot of stuff to get going, but share this podcast and remember, it's always a great day to be an American. And communism, it still sucks. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.